Hi Stampers, it's Rachel here from rachthestamper.wordpress.com, and today I wanted to show you how to make this really pretty card that you could use as a Father's Day card. I actually made another version of this card a long time ago for one of my very good friends, and I had the seashell that I used on this card, which is from the By the Tide stamp set, and I kind of had it at the bottom, and I had a palm tree. But I don't have the palm tree because it isn't a Stampin' Up! Palm tree, and I don't really have anything that would fit in. So I thought maybe using from Land to Sea, that if I use the lighthouse instead, kind of be symbolic Father's Day, but also gave a whole nother look to this card. Now the card we're going to make is going to be slightly different because what I did was I used Pink Pirouette and some Calypso Coral. And then the blue I ended up using Soft Sky because I couldn't remember. This was before I made videos for cards. I had made this such a long time ago, but I couldn't remember the exact colors I used, so I kind of was playing around with it. So the card colors we're going to use are going to be a little bit different on the inks. But we're going to be using the lighthouse from Land to Sea. This is retiring. No, this is not retiring. I'm sorry. We're using the lighthouse from this. Thank goodness this one is still staying around. We're going to be using the words from the By the Tide stamp set. This one is retiring. And we're going to be using the World's Best Dad from Going Global. This is retiring as well. So these are still available in my online store through May 31st. So if you want to get the stamp sets, I think they're still continuing to make through May 25th. So you probably should get there sooner than later if you do actually want these stamp sets. From Land to Sea is going to be sticking around, so that should be there for at least a little bit longer. So let me show you how to start. And as you know, I just recently put a Brayer card and I couldn't resist. This is another Brayer card, so I'm trying to get all these out of my system. So what we're going to be using today is we're going to be using a piece of Night of Navy, which is 4 1/4 by 11. We're going to score it at 5 1/2. And you could do this if you don't like it this way. You could certainly do it as a different opening. So you could do it so instead of it opening this way, you could just cut your cardstock the regular way, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and then score it at 4 1/4. And then we're going to be using a piece of Whisper White, which is 4 by 5 1/4. And then I also have a piece of Very Vanilla, which the height doesn't matter because we are going to be ripping it, but it does need to be 5 1/4 across, so it matches up with this layer that it's going to be sitting on top of. And then we're going to need a scrap piece of Night of Navy, a scrap piece, actually this is the shimmery white cardstock, so scrap piece of that, and another scrap piece so we can punch out our lighthouse, which I already fussy cut so you wouldn't have to painfully watch me do that. And then I have 2 other pieces of scrap, and what I did was I did this the best I could remember how to, but I kind of made lines shooting out. I'm not sure if that's showing up. Lines coming out as if the lighthouse has lights. So I'm going to show you how I did that as well. You don't have to do it on your card if you don't like it, but I thought it was a little bit different of a touch. So what we're going to do to start is we're going to do our sky first. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my pool party because we're going to need that as well. And we're going to use Pink Pirouette. So those will be our 2 main colors for now. And we're going to get some Post-it notes. So the only thing you have to do for the first thing is figure out where you want how far down you want the sky to go. And I actually did that upside down. So let me just move that up a little bit. Yeah, down a little bit. Okay, and let me grab a scrap piece of paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to ink up our Brayer in Pink Pirouette, and if you're going to use your Brayer, you want to remember you go all the way off and all the way on, that way you don't create a lot of lines. And also I've noticed with my table, because this is a very old table made out of old wood, if I go over it in certain lines, it does leave little marks. So I'm going to try to go in between. There we go. That looks really pretty. So same thing again. We'll just do it one more time just to get it a teeny bit darker. Okay, and then what we're going to do, so we're finished with the Pink Pirouette. Get that out of the way. We're going to take our Post-its. You're just going to lift them straight off. You can keep them together if you'd like, if you can get them together. And we're going to just flip them. So we're going to just put these right over top of where we just were. Okay, and now we're going to do this. I'm going to just kind of halfway clean off my brayer. You really should clean it all the way off, but I don't want to waste your time me running to the sink. And now we're going to ink up our brayer in Pool Party. Make sure this is nice and tight down. Yeah, this one doesn't want to stick. Let me grab one more. There we go. Oh, geez. One of those days. Okay, so ink up our brayer in Pool Party, and then the same thing, we're just going to go straight across. Okay, and we're going to go. I did re-ink this brayer recently, so I think that's probably why I have those little splotchy lines. Just try this. Okay. Yeah, much better. Okay. So we're going to pull this off. And now you can either go back in with your Pink Pirouette, or this is kind of when I went in with the Calypso Coral. Or you could even, if you have, I don't have my Blushing Bride right now, so you could use Blushing Bride as well. But I'm going to just go in with a little bit of Calypso Coral. Just kind of dotting it in with the Sponge Dauber. And then almost will give like a little bit of a reflection of the setting sun into the water. And the other thing is, like I said, if you don't like it this way, you can certainly go outside the box and you can fill it in with the Pink Pirouette. But the other thing is too, it's really only going to show depending on the edge of where you have it. So that's why I kind of went up the sides, just to give a little bit of something to the edge of the card, since those beach dunes are going to be in front of it. And then the other thing you can do too, depending on how you like your lighthouse, is you could put your lighthouse so it's actually up on that top post, but you just have to really cut down your base beach dune there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get our piece of Very Vanilla, and I'm going to go with Crumb Cake. The last time I used Soft Suede, it was a little bit dark, so I'm going to go with Crumb Cake. And we have the words, which are from By the Tide. This is just the pink shell's little saying. And I'm going to just stamp this randomly all over here because we are going to use the entire, upside down? Yeah, let's flip it around. The entire, most of the whole card. Oops, look at that. So I'm just kind of filling this in. Doesn't really need to be straight. It's really just more so for the kind of like a to create a little bit of a pattern for it, just so it gives it a little bit of visual interest. Okay, so keep out your Crumb Cake, because what we're going to do is we're going to rip this and we're going to sponge it. So what you want to do is you want to rip down so it creates the edge for you to fill in. It doesn't matter how high. So this one I'm going to do a little bit lower, and we'll see if we can get that lighthouse up a little bit higher, maybe even onto the second dune. Okay, so same thing again. So you want to still rip from the top. Doesn't matter really what it looks like unless you're particular. And this last one only really has to be a piece, so we'll work with this and see how we like it. So let me grab my sponge, and I'm going to just sponge the edges of all of this. I think earlier I did it with the dauber too, which made it a little bit darker, so whatever you prefer. I did do the edges though of the pieces that we're going to show. So this is going to be the middle piece, so you don't have to do the bottom. And then the bottom piece, I did the whole thing. Okay, let's see. A little bit more. Okay. So now the only other thing you have to decide is how exactly you want these to to layer. Let me get this out of the way. In the meantime, you can punch you can stamp your lighthouse. I did it in Night of Navy on white, and I just trimmed it out so we would have it. And let me grab my panel here. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the Night of Navy panel. So it's going to go right there. Okay, so best way to do this is kind of eyeball it. So if you want that to be your lowest, and then this will be in between. We can actually get rid of a little piece of this, and then we'll just use our sponge just to fill that back in, because it doesn't have to exactly match. It doesn't really have to match up at all. Just bring that over a little bit, and then we can put this one up here. See what that looks like. So your lighthouse still technically won't fit on this. This will be a little too high, but you could put it here if you wanted to instead, because that will still work. Or I popped the other one up on a dimensional. You could put it here, and that could be your bottom base. That's where it's sitting. So if you want to do the lighthouse light, what you need to do is you need to decide where you're going to put your lighthouse, number one. So say if you're going to tuck it in there. So your lighthouse beams are going to technically be coming kind of here, and we'll say here. So what I did is I just got a little piece of Whisper White as a scrap. I opened up my So Saffron. I just squeezed this together a little bit. And I found that the dauber worked a little bit better to get the concentration of the light so it looked like it was coming. So I apologize if my head is going to be in the way for this. So what I did was I just filled my dauber with a little bit of ink, and I just made this little smudge of light, and it kind of gives that white line there you can see of the edging, and at the same time it kind of also fills in where the beam would be shooting out of the lighthouse there, if that makes sense. And then we'll kind of go down a little bit, and just a teeny bit. I don't want too much, because there you go. So you can see you've got your little panel there, because you can see where your little piece is going to fit right in. So the only other thing we're going to do really quickly is we're going to stamp our greeting in Night of Navy onto this shimmery white panel. Let's see if I can make this without screwing it up. Okay, and then if you still have your flag punch, you can punch out the end. Just pop that in. Oh, come on. You went in there earlier. Let's see. Let's try it this way. That one will work. There we go. All right. So we'll flag that. And then we're going to flag our little Night of Navy piece. And then kind of what I did is just attach these two together. Did a little bit of offset. We can set that up there. All right, so we're going to put adhesive on all of our sea dunes. And what you want to kind of do before you really put these down is just, again, eyeball, make sure you like where you put them. Okay, so if you put your base down first and just put it very lightly, so you can tuck this piece behind. And then again, tuck this piece in. And then make sure you like where you have your lighthouse. Or we can put our lighthouse even right here now, because that'll look like it has a little bit more something to it. All right, I'm going to move this over just a teeny bit. The second one. This one I can save now. So I have the first one where I want it. The second one I'll bring down just a smidge. Bring that off. Just re-sponge this just a little bit. And then this is going to go here. Oops, see, there you go. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to put our lighthouse. Where is that going? Right there. I'm actually going to put the lighthouse up on dimensionals. If I can find where I put them. Because I think it gave it a little bit of something. And let's see if I have any. Let me snip a couple of these real quick. Just because I need a couple tiny ones for the top. 1 and 2. I'll tell you, when I do dimensionals on camera, I swear it takes 3 times as long to get the stickies off of them. And let's scoot this over just a hair. Okay. So we're gonna put this in at the top first. There we go. Okay, great. And since you have some more, if you want to make a little dune, you can always, you know, fill in a little bit of a dune wherever. Don't like the way it looked. You can put a little dune on top of this. Put a little dune in there, fit another little dune like it's sitting on a dune. You could move your little dune over if you don't like it. You can pop your, you could also pop your sentiment up on dimensionals as well. But I'm going to leave this just as it is. So, there you go. World's Best Dad. Here's 2 versions, but they're just a slight bit different. Like I said, this one I definitely used more Calypso Coral on it. This one has the Soft Sky Pool Party. The Soft Sky looked a lot darker when I did it. I think it's just because it's a brand new ink pad. It showed up a lot darker than what I had imagined that it would. But anyway, these are 2 really great cards for Father's Day. You know, both equally beautiful. You can certainly use the darker ink if you like that for the beach. That was Soft Suede. This is Crumb Cake. But both of them have the Night of Navy. They both have the base of the Pink Pirouette. The only thing is the water is a little bit different. But you can get all these supplies and more in my online store, which is rachthestamper.stampinup.net. Visit my blog, and I'd love for you to sign up and follow my blog. It's rachthestamper.wordpress.com. And if you have any questions, you can leave me a comment there, or you can shoot me an email to rachthestamper@gmail.com. I hope this has given you some inspiration for a great Father's Day card, and I hope to hear from you guys soon. Take care.